Support for this program is provided by Texas Cooperative Extension. Welcome to this online Master Gardener training module focusing on earth-kind roses. This program is designed to provide information on the value and importance of these select rose cultivars for use in the home landscape and garden. To complete this training, review the online information and then complete the quiz at the conclusion of the program. Progress through the training program is tracked automatically, and the results will be forwarded to the County Master Gardener Coordinator. Participation in this training assists Texas Cooperative Extension promote environmental stewardship in the urban landscape. Working together, we can make a difference in conserving and protecting our state's valuable natural resources. Earthkind is an important designation given to select roses by the Texas A&M University Agriculture Program. Earthkind roses have been through extensive testing and evaluation by a team of horticultural experts and found to possess the high level of landscape performance and outstanding disease and insect tolerance required for this special designation. Only a few roses have been selected as Earthkind. However, the list continues to grow as new selections meet the rigorous criteria. Many plants have characteristics that help them resist plant pests. For example, roses with glossy leaves tend to shed water more readily than plants without this trait. As a result, glossy-leafed roses often have fewer problems with foliar diseases. Many plants have the ability to tolerate pests better than others. For example, some roses may have a black spot or thrips infestation, but their landscape performance is unaffected. Pest tolerance and resistance are valuable characteristics of earthkind roses. There are several terms used to describe roses with good pest tolerance and outstanding landscape performance. None of these terms have an exact botanical definition, and on occasion this has created some confusion among rosarians and home gardeners alike. Antique roses, sometimes referred to as old garden roses, are typically older cultivars that have survived the test of time and retain several valuable cultural and aesthetic qualities. Many of these antique roses have a known lineage that can be traced back hundreds of years. Some, however, were discovered on abandoned home sites, in cemeteries, or in other unattended areas. Despite careful study, their origins remain unknown. These found roses constitute a group of very rugged plants that obviously possess outstanding insect and disease tolerance that enabled their survival. Heritage roses are typically older or antique rose cultivars with a lineage that ties back to the early history of the state or region. Settlers brought many of today's heritage roses by covered wagon to their current location. These cultivars may also be referred to as pioneer roses. Earthkind roses are a collection of cultivars which include the very best of each of these categories, along with select modern cultivars that possess excellent insect and disease tolerance coupled with outstanding landscape performance. Earthkind roses have been selected on the basis of a trialing program that includes evaluation sites throughout Texas and beyond. Selecting an appropriate planting site is extremely important for earthkind roses to perform their best. Plants should be placed in a location where they receive direct sunlight for 8 hours or more each day. The site should also provide good air movement over the foliage. For example, an enclosed area like a courtyard or small backyard may limit airflow. Earthkind roses require well-drained soils to perform their best. Therefore, proper bed preparation is an important consideration prior to planting. On sandy and loam soils, the incorporation of 3 to 6 inches of organic matter or compost will greatly enhance both drainage and water-holding characteristics of the soil. On heavier clay soils, Incorporating 3 inches of organic matter or compost and 3 inches of expanded shale will typically provide the necessary aeration and drainage requirements for optimum plant growth. The use of raised beds at least 4 to 6 inches above the surrounding soil is highly recommended. Containerized roses can be planted at any time of the year, but fall and early spring usually yield the best results. Make sure the container is well watered prior to planting. As a rule of thumb, the planting hole should be approximately 1.5 times larger than the diameter of the container. The bottom of the hole should be firm. Carefully remove the plant from the container and place it in the center of the hole. Make adjustments as necessary for leveling and height. The most critical step in this process is ensuring that the crown of the plant will sit at or slightly above the soil line once it is backfilled. Take into account any settling that might occur. Once completed, water thoroughly until bubbles stop rising from the soil. Most roses like high levels of fertility, especially nitrogen. Generally, they need to be fertilized in March, June, and lightly in late August to provide maximum landscape performance. Base the selection of fertilizer analysis on the results of a soil test. Rates should not exceed 2 to 4 pounds of actual nitrogen per 1,000 square feet of bed space. For the March and June feedings, utilize fertilizers in which at least 1/2 of the nitrogen is in the slow-release or slowly available form. In late August, apply fertilizers in which the nitrogen is readily available. Many earth-kind gardeners opt to use organic fertilizers or no fertilizers at all. Although landscape performance may be affected, this approach has the least impact on the environment. Most earth-kind roses have excellent drought tolerance. However, supplemental irrigation will be required at certain times of the year for optimum landscape performance. How much and how frequently water must be applied will largely be based on the planting site, water quality, soil characteristics, and time of the year. Generally speaking, roses should be watered early in the day to provide adequate time for the foliage to dry before cooler evening temperatures. Keeping water off the leaves is an important means of controlling a variety of fungal diseases, especially black spot. Drip emitters, leaky pipe, and bubblers are excellent methods of applying supplemental irrigation which limit the amount of foliar wetting. Earth-kind roses require some basic maintenance procedures to provide their best performance in the landscape. A 3 to 4 inch layer of an organic mulch can be a useful means of retaining soil moisture, maintaining uniform soil temperatures, and suppressing weed growth. Proper pruning not only helps shape the plant to a desirable form, but also allows the manipulation of new growth and flowers. There are no hard rules for when to prune roses. Typically, this activity occurs after the last frost. This could be as early as January in warm climates or as late as May in areas subject to a late frost. Pruning later is more desirable than too early. Tender new growth may be damaged from a late winter freeze. Be sure to use sharp pruning tools and make clean cuts. Remove all dead and damaged canes and prune the plant to the desired shape. On average, roses should be reduced to approximately 1/3 to 1/2 of their original height. Pruning also helps improve airflow around the plant. Good airflow will assist in reducing the risk of potentially harmful foliar diseases. There are numerous plant pests that attack roses. Two of the most common are black spot and thrips. Black spot, caused by the fungus Diplocarpon rosa, causes a general weakening of the plant so that gradually fewer and fewer blooms are formed as the disease progresses. As the name suggests, infected leaves show black spots, especially on the upper leaf surface. The spots can be up to 1/2 inch in diameter and typically have fringed borders. Yellowing of the leaf begins surrounding the spots, and eventually the entire leaf may yellow and drop off. If you look closely at the spots, you'll notice the presence of tiny black spore-producing bodies. This fungus may also infect the canes, where lesions appear purple at first and later black. As is true with most fungi, black spot requires free water for infection to occur. The spores must be wet for at least 7 hours before they can germinate. A temperature of 65 degrees Fahrenheit is best for spore germination, and the disease develops most rapidly at about 75 degrees Fahrenheit. Temperatures of 85 degrees and above can inhibit the spread of the disease. There are 3 to 4 thrip species that commonly attack roses. Adult thrips make a small slit in the bud or new growth where they lay their eggs. After a few days, the eggs hatch and suck plant fluids until they are developed enough to pupate in the soil. Eventually, these thrips emerge as flying adults, mate, and the process begins again. This whole life cycle, from egg to adult, takes only about 2 weeks during warm weather and about a month in cooler weather. Thrips damage is most noticeable in lighter-colored cultivars, although thrips attack all roses. The damage causes the petal edges to appear brown or discolored. In a severe infestation, the buds only partially open or simply wither and die. Earthkind roses are not immune to pest problems. However, their tolerance to pests like black spot and thrips is so great that they rarely require the use of chemical pesticides. The use of integrated pest management, or IPM, can further reduce the use of pesticides in the landscape. This strategy for managing pests relies on environment-friendly control tactics ranging from cultural and mechanical to biological and chemical. Following the IPM process is the best way to make environmentally responsible pest management decisions. Earthkind roses combine tried and true cultivars of the past with recent releases from modern breeders to establish the most environmentally responsible collection of roses currently available. This research-based program is playing an important role in creating a healthy and sustainable landscape that preserves and protects the environment in which we live. For more information, we invite you to visit our website at earthkindroses.tamu.edu.